In South Korea, where about 51 million people live, there's this super unique concept that really highlights their way of life, their economy, and their customs. Now, imagine this. Instead of paying your landlord rent every month, you just give them a big chunk of cash all at once. Sounds strange, right? But it's true. This one-time payment can be somewhere between half to nearly 3/4 of the house or apartment's total worth. And the coolest part? At the end of the lease, you usually get all that money back. So, subscribe to the channel and let's explore the Jeonse system in detail. The origin of the Jeonse system. In most parts of the globe, the choice of acquiring a house typically swings between renting or buying. However, South Korea offers a unique alternative, Jeonse. Jeonse isn't just ordinary rent or a typical purchase, it's a unique housing arrangement. The Jeonse system is revolutionary, freeing you from the hassle of monthly payments. Instead, you put down a significant one-time deposit, colloquially known as key money for the lease period. This amount tends to range from half to nearly 3/4 of the property's worth. After 2 years, you get your money back in full. Moreover, according to Korean regulations, Jeonse contracts span 2 years. Then, the ball is in your court for a potential renewal. Interestingly, you can extend your stay for an additional 2 years. First recognized in the Civil Act of 1959, the unique Jeonse system we see today became popular in Korea during the 1960s. Born out of the absence of mortgage lending, escalating property costs, and the demand for private finance, Jeonse offered a private banking solution to a bubbling property market. By serving as a useful lease agreement, it provided a win-win for both homeowners and residents. From the 1960s through the 1990s, this private lending solution played a significant role in accelerating the economic growth of Korea. The concept of Jeonse may seem odd to those not familiar with Korean traditions, but it has proven to be beneficial for both parties involved. The homeowner receives a large lump sum without interest, which they can invest in high-yield bank accounts or other ventures. Concurrently, the resident gets to live without paying rent for a couple of years, allowing them to save more money for future substantial key money deposits or even to purchase their own property. For many Koreans, Jeonse is a pocket-friendly alternative to monthly rent and a crucial stepping stone towards owning a home. It's worth noting that currently, approximately 70% of lease/rental agreements in Seoul operate under the Jeonse system. What's wrong with the Jeonse system? The Jeonse system is slowly creating financial burdens. The weight is equally heavy for both tenants and landlords, and this burden is messing up the housing market. Let's break it down. Picture this. You're a tenant. According to the Jeonse system, you need to pay a large lump sum deposit, which can be as much as 50 to 80% of the property's value. Imagine. That's a heap of money. Not everyone can afford such a huge amount. Hence, tenants often borrow from banks. It becomes a debt, a big ball of debt. We made a video about debt crisis in South Korea, so check it out if you're interested. Now, consider if you're a landlord. You've received a lump sum deposit. But here's the thing, the Jeonse system requires you to return it without interest at the end of the lease. And you'll ask, what's the issue with that? Well, the issue lies in the usage of this money. Many landlords invest this money elsewhere, assuming they can earn profits. But there's no guarantee. If the investment fails, the landlords face a tough time. They struggle to return the deposit, and it becomes their financial burden. This tension between the tenants and landlords is shaking the housing market. It's generating fear and uncertainty. People are scared to rent. Property owners are worried about leasing. The housing market is becoming unstable. But how did we get here? Why is this happening? The answer is simple yet complex. The steep rise in property values has surged the cost of properties. Tenants are struggling to pay hefty deposits, and landlords are battling to return the money. The rapid price boom has trapped both parties. The housing market is going astray. People are hesitant to engage. The confidence in leases has weakened. There's a ripple effect. The instability in the housing market is spilling over. It's affecting the broader economy. The financial burden due to the Jeonse system is spreading. the one-of-a-kind system in Korea. Looking back, there are traces of similar arrangements that date back as far as the Goryeo era, 918 to 1392, on the Korean peninsula. During these times, farmers would lend their land in return for either goods or money. This practice of trading land for cash evolved over time, growing into a more complex system of pawn brokerage during the Jeonse period, 1392 to 1897. Here, property owners could lend money, using their property as a safety net. The first legal documentation of a Jeonse agreement, which is similar to a leasing system we know today, appeared in a 1910 report from the Japanese government. The Jeonse system was widely used in Korea until the early 2000s, when the housing market saw a rapid increase in prices. This led to a decline in landlords willing to participate in Jeonse agreements and an increase in monthly rent payment options. However, the tradition of Jeonse still remains strong in Korean culture, with many people considering it as an investment opportunity or a way to secure long-term housing stability. The concept of leasing is not just limited to residential properties, but also extends to commercial properties. The first commercial lease records in the United States can be traced back to 1853 in New York City. Over time, leasing has become common for businesses looking for office or retail space. It allows them to have a physical location for their operations without the long-term commitment and financial burden of purchasing a property. Leasing also offers flexibility, as businesses can easily relocate to a different space. Financial impact of the Jeonse system. Recalling the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008, the country's central bank made a significant move by slashing interest rates from 5% to 2%. This action discouraged property owners from pooling their large deposits in savings accounts. As bank interest rates dipped, landlords began to favor monthly rent agreements. Consequently, as Jeonse contracts turned rare, their prices shot up. With the benchmark interest rates dipping below 1%, we are witnessing a parallel scenario. Jeonse prices have also been inflating due to recent large amendments. Tenants are now permitted to prolong their contracts for another 2 years, which is popular but has inadvertently reduced the number of available Jeonse properties. This, along with landlords deciding to occupy their properties again, has caused a noticeable dip in the number of affordable Jeonse properties, forcing tenants to opt for typical pricier monthly rents. There have been growing concerns that the Jeonse system, a deposit-based rental model, might be edged out of Korea's future. The system was initially a boon for young individuals and those with lower incomes. However, with the escalating cost of Jeonse contracts, people cannot afford the more expensive monthly rent. This trend will continue unless the government and central bank take significant measures. The need to reform the Jeonse system. If the Jeonse system is not reformed, several potential consequences could arise. Firstly, the country could have a widening wealth gap, as only those with significant financial resources could afford Jeonse contracts. This could lead to further economic and social disparities. Secondly, it could decrease overall property ownership in the country, as more people would be forced to rent on a monthly basis instead of investing in a Jeonse property. It could have long-term impacts on the housing market and potentially lead to instability. Thirdly, it could also increase housing prices overall, as landlords may take advantage of the demand for monthly rentals and raise their prices accordingly. This could make it even more difficult for individuals, especially young people and those with lower incomes, to find affordable housing. As the housing market remains uncertain and constantly changing, landlords and tenants must stay informed about the latest policies and developments. The Jeonse system has played a significant role in Korean culture and economy for centuries, and its potential decline could have far-reaching consequences. The government must carefully consider reforms that will maintain a balance between affordable housing options and financial stability for both landlords and tenants. Only time will tell how the Jeonse system will evolve in the future.